So one of the skills that I want you to get familiar with is how to specifically use formulas, but also how to solve formulas for certain variables. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Let me give you a very basic one. Let's talk about the distance formula. Anybody know the distance formula? Like from maybe science class? It's not a incredibly intense formula. Distance equals rate multiplied by time. How fast something goes multiplied by how long it's going that fast equals distance. Right? That's the distance formula. How fast you're going times the length of time you're going that fast. So if I told you I was driving 60 miles an hour and I drove for 2 hours, how many miles did I go? 60 miles an hour for 2 hours. I went 120 miles, exactly right. Rate multiplied by time. 60 miles an hour times 2 hours. That's a pretty simple problem. That's really just multiplication. What I want to practice, though, is what if I asked you to find a value besides the distance that I traveled? For example, what if I told you that I have been walking for 9 hours for whatever reason, and in that 9 hours, the distance I had traveled was 63 miles. How fast was I walking? So what we would do is take the distance formula, replace the d with 63. The r I don't know, so I'm going to leave that as r. And I'm going to substitute 9 for t, which is the time. Now r times 9 is fine, but I think we're used to writing it as 9r. Like that. So what would I do to solve this problem? I think that's a great plan. Let's divide both sides. 63 divided by 9 is 7. So the solution to this would be 7. I was going 7 miles an hour for 9 hours. I guess my car broke down or something.
One time my cousin
Oh,
walked from Mount Falls to Burnett.
Uh-huh.
It took him 8 hours.
Uh-huh.
He went to go meet a girl, and her mom showed up at the front door, and she's like, "No, you gotta get your ass home." And he had to walk. He stole their bikes and brought it back to Mount Falls.
That must have been one real pretty lady if he walked 8 hours to see her.
Or he just
Did he get laid?
No, he just
All right, so here's the perimeter of a rectangle. You take the length and you double it. You take the width and you double it, and you add the two together. 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Okay. So if I told you my rectangle was like a 5 by 7, you'd plug in 5 for length and 7 for width, and you just multiply, right? But what if I ask it in a little bit different way? What if I tell you that the perimeter of the rectangle is 32 and the width is 7, and I want to know what the length is? So again, you write this formula and you replace the variables that you have numbers for. So instead of p equals, p is 32, so we'll do 32 equals 2 times L. Well, I don't know what L is, so I'm going to leave it as 2 times L, plus 2 times W, W is 7, so 2 times 7. Do 2 times 7 first, that seems good. That would be 14. Minus what? That seems like a good idea. That's going to give me 18 equals 2L. Divide by 2. The length is 9. That seem all right?
Yep.
Okay. Let's try a weird one. This is one you had on an assignment a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure you've committed it to memory. Volume of a pyramid.
Like 3/4 something.
No.
4/3
1/3.
something 3.
Do you remember what the large capital B means in the volume formula?
Base.
The area of the base, not just the length of the base, the area of the base. So it's 1/3 area of the base times the height. And in this problem, I'm going to tell you that the volume is 40 and the height is 8. Yep, so 40 equals 1/3. I do not know the area of the base, so that'll stay B, multiplied by the height, which is 8. This one's pretty ugly. What do you think? Yeah, I like your spirit there. Let's get rid of the fraction first. How do you get rid of 1/3? I could divide by 1/3. That would be okay. But one way that you can get rid of 1/3 is by multiplying by 3. And the reason that works is because 3 multiplied by 1/3 is 1. So let's multiply both sides by 3. That'll give me 120 on the left, and on the right, 1/3 times 3 is 1, and all I'm left with is b times 8, which I'm going to write as 8b.
Why wouldn't that be 9B? We have 1B.
It's 8 times b, not plus.
Oh, okay.
Now what?
Divide.
Let's divide. So that's going to be 15. Okay, let's do one more like this. Let's talk about everybody's favorite topic, money. I'm going to give you the formula for simple interest. In reality, if you're really investing money, you should be much more interested in compound interest. But we're not quite ready for that formula. The PERT formula. You know what each one of these letters means?
Interest.
I is interest. What's P?
Percent.
That's R for rate, is the percent. P is the principal, meaning the amount that you invest. Rate is the interest rate. That's a percent or a decimal. And T is? Time. Yeah, exactly. Let me give you some numbers. Let's say the interest is 23. The principal is 230. And the rate is 0.02, which as a percent is? What percent is that? 0.02?
That's 2%.
2%, yeah. So I'm investing $230 at 2% interest, and I've made $23. 2% interest is like a really, really good money market or savings account.
Not really.
well, it's terrible interest, but that would be like if you have an incredible money market account, 2%.
Actually, you probably make that right now.
So the question is, how long was the money in there for? So let's go ahead and put that in there. 23 equals P times R times T.
Parentheses first.
Say that again?
Parentheses first.
Yes, and in this case, I'm going to actually multiply these numbers first. I want to multiply these two things together. You may want a calculator for this, but it's really not that bad. 230 times 2 is 460, and then I move the decimal twice because there's two numbers after the decimal, so 4.6 times T. Then what?
Equals 23. Oh, you're good.
Yeah, what's my next step? Divide by 4.6. You are almost certainly going to want a calculator for 23 divided by 4.6. That is not an easy problem to do without a calculator. Is it just 5?
Yeah, 5.
5. Okay. So,
5 years, 5 months.
yeah, 5, we assume years. This problem is good math practice and also a cautionary tale for why you do not want to invest in a savings account that makes 2% interest, because after 5 years you've made $23.
Wow, that's good.
That is not a good rate of return on your investment. That is not the way you want to invest your money. 2% is pretty pathetic.
20 invest in stocks and then get a Roth IRA.
2% is pathetic because I think inflation's like 2.5% or something. Like you're actually losing money. You're losing buying power when you invest at 2%. Anyway, that's a discussion for another time. Well, for another class actually. Maybe someday. I'm impressed that you have such strong investing skills there, Evo. Roth IRAs, that's the way to go.
Especially in the young age.
Yes, sir. The younger the better.
Good thing is, I don't know.
Even if you hardly have any money, $50 a month invested right now will.
I'll go full time at HEB, whatever and if I get a Roth,
Mhm.
and then I'll get 401k for HEB. Whatever
Really?
I put in, they match.
Up to how much?
I think like 12%.
12%? My
Wow,
God,
pretty good.
that's really good. You should just make a career. You should get out of this class and go work for HEB full time. Good gracious,
I think that's what they said.
that's really good. So this is the formula for area of a triangle. 1/2 base times height. Now I haven't actually given you any numbers for the variables here, and I'm not gonna. Instead, what I want you to do is practice solving for a variable without any numbers. Solve for B. Now what this means is your answer is still going to have the variables A and H in it. Your answer will have an A and an H. Okay? But when we say solve for B, we mean we want to do some math stuff and end up with B equals at the end of it. We want everything moved except the B. So take a look at what we got right here. Is the B by itself? No. Why not?
It's 1/2.
Because the half and
The H.
because the H. We got to get rid of the half and the H. Great. Now the half is a fraction, of course, and we talked just a few minutes ago with the volume of a pyramid function on how to get rid of a fraction. What did we do?
Times it by-
We times it by the denominator. So how am I going to get rid of a half? I'm going to times it by 2. Okay, so I get 2a equals 1/2 times 2 is 1, so those are gone, and I'm left with b times h. Great. Is b by itself now?
No.
It is not. Why not?
What's the H?
Because of the h, so how am I going to get rid of that?
Times H on both sides.
It's already times h. How do I get rid of it? Divide h. Very good. Now this is going to look a little unusual, but on the left side I have 2a divided by h, and there's nothing I can combine or simplify there, so I just have to leave it as 2a divided by h equals, and then of course here the h's cancel out to 1, and I'm left with just b. Okay?
So we put B over H.
Well, let's answer our question. Is the b by itself now? Yes, b is by itself now, which means
Good.
I'm done. My goal was to have b equals. That's what I have, b equals. Yeah? All right. Let's do perimeter of a triangle. So the formula for the perimeter of a triangle looks like this. The perimeter equals, and the perimeter of a triangle is just add all three sides up. Okay, so I'm going to write side 1 as S with the little 1. That's going to be side number 1. Plus S with the little 2. It's going to be side 2. Plus S with the little 3. That's going to be side 3. And I want you to solve for side 3. What do you think? How am I going to get the S3 by itself? Well, let's answer the question, is it by itself now? No, it's not. How come? The S1 and the S2. So we got to get rid of the S1 and the S2. What should we do? How do I get rid of S1 or S2?
Sure.
Let's subtract them. I'm going to do it one at a time. I'm going to subtract S1 first. And that leaves me with, on this side, P minus S1 equals S2 plus S3. Oops. Okay, my goal is to solve for S3. Is S3 by itself now?
Nope.
No, it is not.
Minus your S2.
Well, it's minus S2 now.
So it'd be P minus S3.
No, because I can't combine S1 and S2 because those are different sides of the triangle. So I have P minus S1 minus S2 equals S3.
There we go.
Is S3 by itself now?
Yep.
Yes, it is. That is the answer. Now, you have heard me complain over and over and over again about the metric system and how the metric system is superior to our imperial system in every way. And nowhere is this more apparent than in the formula for the conversion of Fahrenheit to Celsius, or vice versa, which looks like this. The reason Celsius is such a great number system is because 0 is freezing and 100 is boiling, period. Just makes sense. 0 is when stuff is frozen, 100 is when stuff is boiling. Stuff meaning like water. Stuff meaning what you're made out of. So that makes much more sense than Fahrenheit, which is 32 freezing, 212 boiling. It's really weird. The conversion is also really weird. Let's talk about this conversion a little bit. If I give you a temperature in Celsius, you multiply that temperature by 9/5 and then add 32. The plus 32 is because 0 degrees Celsius is 32 Fahrenheit. Those are the freezing temperatures. And then it's 9/5 of a degree Fahrenheit for every degree Celsius. So, if I told you that the temperature in Texas was, let's say, 102 degrees. So that'd be like November. If it was 102 degrees in Texas, what would the temperature be in Celsius? 102 is hot. People not from the South would probably die, but we're tough, we can handle it. What's the temperature Celsius though? Well, let's do some replacement. Instead of F, it'll be 102. C is going to stay C because I don't know what the temperature Celsius is. Just like that. Now, how do I figure out the temperature Celsius?
Do the fraction first.
What should I do with it?
Do that times multiplication 5.
If I multiply by 5 right now, I would have to also multiply the 32 by 5, which is totally fine. I can totally do that. If I want to multiply by 5, though, I got to multiply this and this by 5. I could save myself having to worry about that if I subtracted 32 on both sides first, because then I would have 70 equals 9/5 Celsius. Okay? Now what you said was multiply by 5. That seems like a great idea. Let's multiply by the denominator. That will get rid of my fractions for sure. On the left side, 5 times 70 is 350. On the right side though, what's 9/5 times 5?
45 over
45 over 5, which is 9. Multiplying by the denominator cancels the denominator. Okay, now what? Time to do division. I don't know that 350 divided by 9 is going to come out exactly even. Don't sound so disappointed. You got a calculator, you're welcome to use one. This is going to be 38.88888888. I'm going to round that to say like 38.9 degrees Celsius. So a broiling hot day in Texas is 38.9 degrees in Celsius. Your body temperature in Fahrenheit is 98.6. In Celsius, it's about 37, I think. 37 degrees is normal. Whereas if you went to the doctor and had a temperature of 37 degrees, you would certainly be dead. You do not survive a 37 degree temperature. Okay, any questions about these conversions? Or how to solve these equations? Or how my hair has this glossy shine that you're all envious of? or how many
So,
push-ups I can do. It's a lot.
What is the way we measure things,
Imperial system is what our measurement system's called.
and there's everyone else's, and
Metric.
how did we get metric from imperial? So we're just
Or
like,
vice versa.
what?
That shit's in here.
I think metric came first.
Or yeah, how did we get?
I don't know why ours is different. I assume because we're America and we do things differently. I don't really know why.
But who came up?
Actually,
So they're like 38, and then we're just like, we want to change that.
Yeah, so like if somebody in Great Britain said it was 39 degrees outside, your response would be, "Oh my gosh, that's super hot. It's over 100 Fahrenheit."
That's dumb.
And if they said it's 4 degrees outside, you would think, "Oh wow, that's super cold. That's like in the high 30s, low 40s in America." Any other questions that are math related instead of geopolitical related?